Today, we're going to dive into the psychology of something so many of us have been through, but we don't really get it. We're talking about why, in the middle of a conflict, we sometimes just go completely silent.
Just think about it for a second. Have you ever been right in the middle of a disagreement? You've got a million things you want to say, but instead of fighting back, you just stop talking? And that's exactly what it feels like, isn't it? It's not like you're choosing to be difficult or that you suddenly don't care. It's this involuntary feeling, almost like a door just slams shut inside your own head. If you know that feeling, then you're in the right place.
So, first up, let's start calling this what it is: the silence you didn't choose. We really have to reframe this whole thing. It's not about being weak or trying to dodge a fight. When you boil it all down, this silence is actually a form of protection. This is the fundamental switch we have to flip in our minds. Someone shutting down might look passive from the outside, sure, but what's actually happening psychologically is the total opposite. Their entire system is just on fire. It's completely overwhelmed. So what is actually going on in that moment of pure overwhelm? Well, the best way to think about it is like your body slamming on the emergency brake. And here's the science behind it. Shutting down isn't a decision you make. It is a nervous system response. It's an automatic, physical reaction that kicks in when your brain thinks there's a threat. It's like a circuit breaker flipping to stop you from getting totally overloaded. It's not a flaw in your personality, it's just biology. Your body is trying to keep you safe, the exact same way it would make you pull your hand away from a hot stove without even thinking. So, how did our bodies get so good at this? Well, our nervous system is a really good learner. Maybe back in the day, arguments got out of hand way too fast, or maybe every time you tried to express yourself, you were just dismissed or even punished for it. Your system learned a very simple, very effective rule from all that. Silence usually means less damage. And that lesson, it gets wired in deep. And this really lays it out, doesn't it? What looks like someone being passive or like they don't care is actually a state of intense internal overload. It's a deep-seated protective instinct just doing its job. All of this creates this huge disconnect, right? It creates a tale of two realities: what it looks like on the outside versus what it actually feels like on the inside. So, from the outside, someone might look at you and see you as being cold or distant, like you're deliberately shutting them out. But on the inside, oh, it's absolute chaos. Your mind is going a mile a minute, your chest feels tight, and pretty much every bit of energy you have is focused on one single goal: trying to stop this situation from blowing up even more. And sometimes it's just about your own personal processing speed. Some of us, we just need more time to figure out what we're feeling before we can even begin to talk about it. An argument demands that you respond right now, but that pressure is exactly what can trigger the shutdown. You're not trying to avoid the conversation forever. Your system is just hitting the pause button until you can actually hear yourself think. But here's the catch. Even though it's a protective mechanism, when you rely on it too often, it starts to have this hidden cost. Let's talk about the quiet, long-term price of all that silence. See, the problem is, those feelings, they don't just disappear into thin air. Everything you didn't say starts to pile up. Resentment begins to bubble just under the surface, and this deep feeling of being totally unheard and misunderstood starts to take hold. After a while, you might even start to doubt yourself, wondering if what you had to say even mattered in the first place. And the result of all that? A slow, quiet emotional gap starts to grow in the relationships that matter most. This quote just perfectly nails the paradox, right? In the short term, yeah, silence feels like the safest bet. It stops the fight, it protects you from that feeling of being overwhelmed. But over the long term, that same protective wall can become a prison, isolating you from the very people you care about. So, here's the big question. What do we do about it? The answer isn't to just force yourself to argue better. It's about learning to ask yourself a new and honestly a much more compassionate kind of question. Okay, first, and this might be the most important part of this whole thing, you have to let this idea really sink in. This shutdown response isn't a conscious choice you're making. It's a pattern your nervous system learned to keep you safe. Just understanding that is the first real step to changing your relationship with it. For so many of us, the voice inside our head is just full of frustration. We beat ourselves up with this question over and over. Why can't I just say what I mean? What is wrong with me? It's a question that comes from a place of shame. But what if we just swapped that question for this one? What am I protecting myself from right now? This question, it isn't judgmental, it's curious. It actually creates space. It shifts your focus from what's wrong with you to understanding what your body is actually trying to do for you. And asking that new question, it leads us to the real goal. Growing here isn't about becoming some master debater or learning how to win fights. The real work is about creating enough safety inside yourself so that you can stay present and stay engaged, even when things get really uncomfortable. And please always remember this. Your silence was never random. It was an adaptive strategy that literally helped you survive moments that felt like too much. It served a real purpose. And once you have that awareness, you suddenly have a choice. You can learn to just pause, take a breath, and see the pattern for what it is. And recognizing that pattern gives you the power to decide if that old silence is still what you need. It gives you the chance to ask, maybe, just maybe, this time, is it finally safe to speak?